Welcome back to the Hacking Autism podcast, the podcast all about making autism your unfair advantage. In today's very brief episode, I talk about how autism could act as a Death Star. So for the Star Wars fans out there, this one is for you. Without further ado, I'm going to roll the tape, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. Today we're going to unpack whether or not autism really could be used as a Death Star. And off the cuff, that sounds a bit strange, and Death Stars are considered, planet killers, and they're a little bit dark in the Star Wars series or saga of stories. But I see autism specifically as a Death Star. And what I mean by that is, it's the ultimate tool. It's the ultimate tool to devour and consume something. So when it comes to, for myself, learning Mandarin or German or monetary policy, Sino-American trade policy in college, I used my obsessive focus when it came to autism so that I could become the ultimate expert in any of those given topics. And so what started as the Titanic and fencing, wanting to be a clown as a kid, I wanted to be a spy for a number of years. So I spent all of my mental energy trying to be the very best at whatever those given things were. So I knew all these data points about the Titanic, or I knew all these different things about tradecraft, or at least, I would study it. And that really helped me to just consume and go all in on a given topic. And often it wasn't great when it came to social interactions and being able to talk ad nauseum about the Titanic. But as a high schooler, everything shifted for me, where I had this plot twist, this pivot in my life when my mentor, she called out, she said, "Kelsey, read all the attributes of the DSM-5 or 4, 6, maybe it was the 3, where Asperger's is actually specifically called out. And it's a really, really negative list of attributes of being, rude, to the point, obsessive. Like, the whole list is, I would argue, very, very negative. And that's really unfortunate, because I saw myself as this broken toy, this broken person, now that I had this label slapped on my face. Yet this mentor said, what if you took all of those negative attributes and you actually saw them as amazing, incredible things about yourself? What if obsessively focused became an expert in a given topic? Well, that's just what I did. So I took that advice. I fought it at first, to be totally honest. It didn't go super well, because I was convinced that I was this broken person. But when I did, pursue that pivot, I was able to pursue things like Mandarin or international business with an emphasis in finance and all these different things with a great deal of intensity. And that's kind of the Aspie way, and that's amazing, which is why I point back to the original metaphor of, could autism actually be the ultimate Death Star? So I would say yes, because it kind of consumes, it just points its lasers at a planet or a target, and then it's just gone. It's vaporized. And that's pretty amazing. In Star Wars, it's dark and it's used for evil, no doubt. But I think it's a really, really relevant picture when it comes to, how on earth do I learn Mandarin? How do I live in China at the end of my 2 years of studying? How do I go and find a job that is full-time, that's cognitively engaging, that I fit in with, and all that? Well, the answer is leveraging your autism. That's what I did, and I would encourage you guys to think about how can you leverage that obsessive focus to give you an edge over the competition, over your peers. Yeah, and so with that, that's my story. That's how I think of autism as a Death Star. Thank you so much for listening, and if this brought you value, if you found it entertaining, I'd be honored if you would consider sharing this with a friend. Share it with maybe a mom or a dad of a kid on the spectrum. The goal is to get this out, to encourage, inform, entertain people living life, doing life on the spectrum. So I hope that you found the metaphor kind of funny or fitting. And I just want to encourage you guys to keep hacking.